We are talking about the festive horror movie Sick for Toys. Now this one is maybe a little bit different from your run-of-the-mill Christmas horror films, as I feel it actually is a fairly unique film in a lot of ways. Now the story focuses on this brother and sister, and the pair of them have been abused when they were younger, as we see through a variety of flashbacks, and as such are a pretty messed up pair, but maybe in different ways. The woman, Emilia, has really kind of some sort of dissociative disorder here, where she basically sees other people as toys for her to play with. And what it seems to happening here is that every year the brother ultimately and her kidnap some guy, drug him, and just basically let her play with him, it being sexual or what, you know, whatever she wants to do. And then the brother ultimately is kind of killing her. Now it's suggested that the brother has some sort of controlling kind of sort of a mentality towards her, maybe even incestual. Anyway, so they're kind of your two kind of like your disturbed people, so to say. And then the movie focuses on these two other guys, these two friends, and initially one goes off to kind of meet this Emilia and ultimately try and kind of like have a little bit of extramarital affair away from his kind of partner, and he kind of goes missing, so he's up to his friend to try and track down who he says. And his friend is this kind of like this you know, stereotypical nice guy. He's very respectful, doesn't try to sort of take advantage of women and stuff like that, but it always ends up kind of like getting the kind of the short end of the stick, so to speak, because he kind of maybe is a little bit more more of a gent than kind of a lot of these guys, and kind of gets a shaft because of it. And so he ends up taking an interest in Emilia, but sort of discovers that maybe things aren't quite as they seem. So that's your kind of your basic plot premises here. It all takes place kind of on a Christmas period, and Emilia is obsessed with Christmas, and she ultimately wants these men to play with as Christmas toys, and then to discard at the New Year, one supposes. So what do we think of Sick for Toys? Certainly somewhat of a unique premise, and there's a kind of a shift in the status quo, which I won't sort of tell you, that happens kind of like maybe just over halfway through the movie, that I didn't really see coming, and it kind of took me as a little bit of a surprise. But I liked it. I thought it was quite fun, and it kind of like maybe shifted your expectations and made the movie actually somewhat kind of, at least have somewhat kind of more real world applications and stuff like that. And I thought that was quite good. I also thought some of the situations that were sort of a commentary on sort of modern dating life and kind of like, you know, people's relationships romantically and stuff were also quite both funny and also kind of poignant as well. So I thought that was quite good. So it's almost like a kind of like a Christmas horror dating movie, I would say, because there is a little bit of that in there as well. So I thought that was all quite good. So I did kind of quite like some of these original aspects of this movie, and there are some kind of scenes of you might find somewhat uncomfortable, somewhat suggested sort of sexual situations here. But what doesn't work for me, I've got to say the big thing for me was the ending here. So we have this kind of, without telling you what it is, we have this kind of change of status quo, and the way it ends up it is just stupid. Now, what I liked about this movie was some of the kind of the realistic decisions that it made, and some of the realistic dialogue that was happening. Then we had this ending, and it just like, that's bullshit. I mean, that is pure crap. How it's shaken out, it's just ridiculous. So I was really disappointed with the ending. It tried to have this kind of like aha ending, I guess you would call it, but to me that was a big mistake, and it just undoes a lot of what I think was, until then, a kind of a fairly kind of smart thriller, really. So that was a little bit disappointing. Other criticisms that I have, the acting is a little bit of a mixed bag. I don't think it's terrible by anyone, but there are just maybe a couple of things here that I feel maybe bordering a little bit cheesy sometimes here and there. Nothing terrible, but just once in a while you think, oh man, that kind of seems a little bit cheesy acting here, a little bit of a cheesy line delivery from particularly certain characters. And ultimately the film is a little bit of a, you know, it needs to be a little bit more faster paced, maybe a little bit more to it, because when it was all said and done, not really a lot happens ultimately. But I have to say, I quite liked its original approach to having a kind of a story. I like the kind of the Christmas setting and how it's not overtly a Christmas movie, but it just happens to be kind of like, you know, that kind of like Christmas adjacent ultimately. Yeah, I quite like some of the kind of the dialogue here and the actual the commentary on kind of like the people's love lives and, you know, relationships, stuff like that. I thought that was all quite good, so it's worth watching if you are a kind of maybe a single person, and it's kind of almost like a kind of you know, a sort of a date movie to a certain degree. But man, that ending is such a shit ending. I'm sorry. So that, and I had to give it just a 5 out of 10 for that. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to you next time. Bye for now.